What's going on, people? SeanPierceJohnson here. We are back out on the road. This time I am meeting up with my good buddy Mike Peterson of Map Guitars. Mike, give the folks at home a little geography lesson. First off, before that, how you doing, buddy?
Fantastic.
Great to be here.
Glad you're here.
Finally getting out here and checking things out. But give everybody that geography lesson. Where in the world is Livermore?
North of where you're from. Far north.
Very far north.
Just east of San Francisco. We are the original wine country out here. So this has the oldest wineries pre-Prohibition.
All right.
They were allowed to stay open through Prohibition, unlike all the wineries in Napa were not.
Very interesting.
So
there's some deep dive in history for the history buffs in the audience like myself, but you guys come here for guitars, so we're going to worry about the guitars. So today we're here at Mike's shop, but this is much more than just your shop. You've called this Livermore Guitar Labs. So what exactly does Livermore Guitar Labs encompass to you?
So the guy who was originally here in the shop before me, he was a drum maker.
Okay.
And his ethos is he always left a bench open for anyone who needed a bench to work on, have any projects. And so when he passed away, I always decided that I'm going to leave a bench open for someone who needs to come in and work. And so I've done that.
Cool.
I've had a few other people here, you know.
You're sharing. I will say I don't know if we can name names, but he's sharing the space right now with some pretty hefty heavyweights in the bass world.
Joe Zahn.
Joe Zahn. There we go.
So yeah, fantastic bass builder. He's making me elevate and bring my guitar game up even higher.
Right.
And so, great mentor. I'm glad I left a bench open for him.
Fantastic.
And it's kind of expanded from more than just a bench,
a little bit.
So yeah, I originally started this shop, but the main goal was to let the shop live again and have great things come out of it, in which it's doing that.
Fantastic. And you guys, astute viewers of the channel, will recognize Map Guitars. We looked at the Zephyr a few years ago, a very fantastic, I believe it was a semi-hollow version, much like what you have right here.
Yeah. So this is kind of like the touring version of that. And so this has a maple top. So this was like a maple top that was actually just kind of getting thrown away. You know, there's a couple of people like, I don't want it. I'm like,
I'll take it.
Yeah. And so it's a little weird, little wonky where the color streaks go, but I thought it was gorgeous. I did not want to throw a stain on or anything.
No. Why not? With that deep of a quilt, like that,
it's gorgeous.
It's kind of like how ebony has come, especially when you see the practices with tailors. How it's like they were always searching for these like dark ebony woods, but that's
I love the streaks.
Yeah.
I want all the wood streaks. I want the imperfection.
Yeah.
Because I don't. An old friend of mine, he gave me his old '62 Gretsch when I was like a lot younger, and because he didn't want it anymore, he's like, that's a whole nother story. But great human being. I've made him a couple of guitars already.
Fantastic.
But it was just perfectly. It looked like plastic. It was so black, so smooth. It's like I can just get plastic and do that. What's nature got?
Yeah.
You know, what's the variances of nature?
And now we're starting to see that kind of creep in, and that's what you said. What is nature doing? I see that so much in your stuff.
So I say perfection is in the imperfections.
That's very cool.
Perfect is imperfect.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Off camera, he was saying something to the effect of, you can't tame nature, and nature is not consistent.
Yeah, you can't have consistent nature.
No
matter how much you try. Yeah.
I like that.
Coming from the food industry and the almond industry, you can never have the perfect everything. Nothing's uniform. Everything is going to be different.
One's going to be slightly smaller than the other. The other is going to be slightly fatter.
Same thing with wood. You're going to have variances of densities, everything, mineral streaks, and you name it. But, inconsistencies is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
It's not consistent, but that's what makes it beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of see how the light around the edges and then everything up the middle is a much darker shade. It kind of leaves that, because this is a set neck guitar, due to the way that the grain is arranged and the way that the colors, it kind of fools you when you first look at it into thinking, is that a set neck? Which I think is kind of one of those cool, happy accidents of nature. And that's one thing that I've always felt, that what you were doing back when we looked at that first Zephyr is everything that you were building, and this was the first one that I saw Mike bring to me, is that everything kind of encompasses this idea of what does nature give us, and then what can we then do with it to make a cool looking and great playing instrument. And you've kind of taken it a little bit quiet the last couple of years, and you're kind of reinvigorating yourself. You're getting back into the game. What have you been up to over the course of the last, say, 6 months? Where has your head been to, get back into the building game, and what are you looking forward to as you get back into it?
Oh, that's a deep question. No, I look for everything, I also spent a lot of time living in Spain, out of the country, and kind of dealing with other guitar makers and whatnot over in Spain. I've been kind of becoming a spokesperson for a brand of acoustic guitars called Alhambra guitars. And so we're going to be, they're not here in the States yet, but there are Spanish-made steel strings, so it's kind of like a hybrid. And so, you're taking the old world style and kind of modernizing it, because, nylon strings are around a lot earlier than steel strings.
And it's part of the tradition of Spanish guitar building, like that, so rooted in the nylon and gut string instruments in Spain. Just that's what we associate. And now, with the idea of hey, steel string acoustics have only been around for 100 and something years. Maybe it's time that somebody with such a tradition enters into the steel string game and shows the world what they can do.
And so what I love about that company is they do both old world style design and new.
Okay.
So they take the Spanish heel, which, Taylor and Martin, they're like, no, we don't want it. They do something different. But Spanish heel was the original way they did acoustic guitars. Whereas they would build it from the face to the back. So they would take the face of the guitar, build it, attach it to the neck, and go build the sides, then they attach the back. The back is the part of the thing. Well, American style is, Martin and Taylor, they do, they build the body, they build the neck. When they're done, then they bolt them together or set them together.
Yeah.
Whereas Spain, it's all built together in one time.
Very interesting.
So they're one of the first companies I know of that does the old world style building in a modern way.
And so for you, a lot of what you've been doing ever since you slowed down a bit, you've been trying to absorb all these different things that people are doing all over the world, and somehow you're going to find a way to apply some of the things you've been learning to what you're working on now and what you're hopefully going to be building in the future.
It's like saying the only thing I've ever really learned is how little I truly know.
Yeah, that we all go through those phases no matter how old we are.
Well, I think, what is this a Dunn-Kruger effect or whatever. The less you know, the more vocal you are about just touting what you know. And as you become more of a professional, more you learn, the less vocal you are about.
It's the difference between the professional and the amateur. I know that concept from a different presentation, and that's what they say is like the professional does their job, sticks to it, and doesn't often feel the need to spout like, I'm a professional. But it's the amateur that is the jealous one, the one that is constantly saying like they don't have any idea what they're doing or whatever. And so you on the sidelines, you're just like, I've realized I don't know a lot, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and I'm going to learn.
Yeah, the pros are the ones who don't talk.
Yeah.
They're the ones who don't, have anything to prove.
They're the ones that don't spend hours and hours on gear forums.
On forums saying, I'm the greatest, I'm the best. Yo.
This sort of SG Firebird-ish hybrid, we will not be seeing any cease and desist letters to this guy anytime soon.
So yeah, I believe the world does not need another Strat, does not need another Tele. I hear there's great companies that do that. Fender, Gibson, they make great versions of their own guitars. You want something different?
You're gonna do something yourself.
I'm gonna do something different. Like this. I designed this before I ever built my first guitar, and in some ways it's a really horrible design. It's so not easy to build because of like these horns. How do you get in here and polish and whatnot? So that was just really bad.
These are the things that guitar builders think of that us players do not think about.
Yeah. How to get in there and clean it and make it, look pretty. Like I was only thinking, okay, I wanted this bevel cutaway because I'm tired of my arm getting all chewed up. I don't play my guitars like a bow tie. I play them down low.
You sling them down low.
Yeah. To me, that's comfy. And it made me learn something. The difference in, what people like in necks is all down to the ergonomics. If you take your hand and you hold the guitar up high, you're going to want a flat, thin neck because that's how your hand naturally rests. But if you play down low, the ergonomics of your hand changes. So you're going to want a different neck shape.
I'm just doing that right now. It's definitely like holding the neck like this, the way that my wrist is oriented is uncomfortable. And then wrapping my hand back around that way, absolutely, flatter neck. Yeah. But down here, I can like wrap my hand around the neck and it doesn't hurt.
And even get lower.
Yeah. And then you get lower, and then you get lower. Yeah.
But you're not dropping it on the floor.
No, not dropping it on the floor. We don't want to do that.
Same thing with this. The ergonomics of this are a little different. So you could almost play this more medium style.
seen some of these examples of the past, and you've talked about your journey going to Spain, learning these new techniques and learning these different perspectives of instrument building. How do you see working that into what you want to work on of what's yet to come, what's in the future? How do you see your instruments evolving and you as a builder?
It's like, I just build. I don't really think. It's like, okay, if I find a problem, I fix it.
Okay.
If I find a design flaw, I don't want it in the next build. And so Livermore Guitar Labs, that's why we call it that, is because it's a lab. We're going to tweak, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to do changes to always make it better. So that's kind of... So one of the great things about Livermore is there's more PhDs per capita than anywhere else. Even CERN and some of those big name places.
Wow.
So it's fun to talk to the engineers here, because if you talk to strangers, you're going to talk to someone really interesting. And sometimes they have security clearance. You can't really... They can't say much.
We are right across the street from the NorCal equivalent of Hawkins National Lab. I heard the noises. It was a little strange.
Well, here they have the world's largest laser. They had one of the
Sorry,
sharks with lasers on their heads. Yes, they
had
do.
to do it.
They got
the pit with the sharks with the laser beams attached to their heads. Anyway.
Freaking lasers.
Freaking laser beams. Right. Anyway, there's a big laser.
Yeah, big laser, big computers, and lots of other scary stuff over there. I'm like, I wish I didn't hear that was over there.
Oh.
So
okay.
I stay away from those guys.
Yes, stay away.
But talking to the guys is they always talk, think laterally about how to approach different things, and so there's always engineers around. So it's like, I kind of like their train of thought and how they approach things.
It's as if what you're going to be doing with map guitars is, it's never this one static thing. It's an ever evolving animal that hopefully, if you take something like the Zephyr, sure, you've got this one right now, but the next one could be radically different, or it could only just be subtly different with something that maybe you might spec out with a potential customer for extra ergonomics or something that would... I mean, he was showing me one particular example of this, fully solid, but built from this incredibly lightweight piece of mahogany that... For a guitar that looks like of this size and to be non-chambered and completely solid, you'd think you were in for, like a 1970s Les Paul Custom. But instead, you were greeted to, like, a Dan Electro.
But then again, there's your imperfections of nature. Sometimes the wood is heavy. Sometimes it's really light. You may pick through 100 boards and find one light one. But you got to use what nature gave you. Yeah. And I think, throwing a lot of the wood away, like this top. It's a beautiful top. It's a little different. But other people were passing it up. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And
it's its own unique self.
Yeah, it's got its own little, like... It's got this little strip of the much lighter shade down the middle. The outer portions are a little darker. And then right towards the edges of the waist, it gets lighter again. So even in its imperfection, there's this weird symmetry going on that's almost like it was destined to be something like this.
You build something nice, you don't want to have like cheap plastic pickup rings. So I couldn't really find any good pickup rings, so I just like, screw it, I'll just make my own.
Why not? And are you making those out of Wenge?
No,
or
like these are actually out of the rosewood, the same rosewood the neck, the fretboard is made out of.
Ah, fantastic.
Same thing with this. These are Wenge, and because the neck is Wenge,
all right,
or the fretboard is Wenge, same sort of thing. The electronics. You can't see it here, but the electronics here. I use Mad Hatter guitar products. I think I got a box of their stuff right here. Yeah. You know, I found that they make the best electronics.
And when Steve Vai has them in his number one gem, who's to argue?
I actually started using these before Steve Vai.
Yes,
so.
yes, you did. So a little bit of a hipster here right now. I used it before Steve Vai.
Okay, off my soapbox.
Well, I think that's really cool. It shows me, like, I know we've talked off and on over the years, and I know for a while you had to slow down. There were reasons that are all your own, and I totally understand. But to see you kind of back in the game, making things happen again, is really cool, because these guitars are very unique. And to me, like, hearing you talk in these things that you're saying of meeting with these engineers and then taking what nature gives you, it's like this weird balance of science and nature that we don't see a whole lot. We kind of, as humans, want to tame nature to do everything that we want it to do. We want to grow beautiful green lawns in Southern California that can't stand up to the very hot summers. So we have to water them with irrigation systems, which cost way too much money. Pardon my soapbox there for a second. When in reality, the environment doesn't let us do that. If the wood says you should do this with it, you're probably going to be listening to it. And
so I think that's why I'm not afraid to poke the norm with a stick and do something different. Because you're going to have, like this. It's not perfectly, smooth mahogany. It's got features in it.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. Some of it even looks so imperfectly perfect, you'd think it was a picture. I mean, at least the way that I'm seeing it from this perspective. But, it's so cool to see some of these things come together in some really unique ways. You've got a really cool, like, little wood stock and library where you're like...
I even have wood that I don't keep here. I got hidden somewhere else.
I know at one point we had talked about you had actually gotten wood from a tree that was in front of your childhood home. Is that what it was? The story was?
Yeah. So, kind of how the whole guitar thing started, what the seed was is, there's these old trees at my parents' house, these old beautiful black walnut trees. There was two of them. And one of them was so big, like, it was, I don't know, like 8 foot diameter almost.
Okay.
Huge. I mean, it was like 400 years old. And so we had all these guys coming over just like, hey, this tree is, it's sick, it's not doing so well. They told me they went in, did a core sample, and, there's hollow bits in there. But eventually when that tree came down, I ended up taking like 2 gigs of photos that day.
Wow.
I've got all the photos, and this tree coming down, it was solid all the way through. And that thing would have lived another 400 years.
Oh, man.
And, there's 2 trees there. The other one wasn't as big, but it was like super tall. And so I took that wood. We went and had it milled, just slabbed, put it on pallets, put it in a storage unit, waxed the ends, and left it there for like 7 years.
Wow.
And so in that time, I thought about, okay, I'm going to let this wood live again. So I went around, looked for guitar builders who could build a guitar for me out of this wood. I didn't know any boutique guitar builders back then. I met a lot of boutique guitar builders, in that process, and most of them told me to take a hike.
Yeah.
And so, and I started thinking, like, if I'm gonna have a guitar, why not have it built to my own design? Even more no's. No one wanted to do it. And I totally understand why now.
Okay. As long as you understand.
I understand, because it got to the point where someone told me, you're never going to be happy with someone else's work. Just go do it yourself.
And so, with no knowledge of it at all, you kind of set yourself on this journey to build the guitar so the tree could live again.
Yeah, so it kind of became a hobby that got out of hand and just kept snowballing. But I'm like, through the time, I'm like, I kind of like this. It's kind of fun. And I still have big chunks of that tree left.
Very cool.
And we could try to pull some out.
Well, maybe we'll fly some B-roll of it in as we wrap this up. I just wanted to say, Mike, thank you so much for letting me stop by the shop. I know we're always talking about the possibility of this. We're up here. Let's do this. Let's make it happen. Where can people go online to follow you as you kind of reinvigorate your building process and see what's in the future?
Okay, so right now, Instagram is the most up-to-date.
Cool. I think that's at Map Guitars, I believe it is.
We'll at Map Guitars.
We'll put that right there.
Magic logos appear.
Exactly, right? Magic logos appear.
You only see them later, right?
There it is.
In After Effects.
Future Sean will be making sure that was the most magical thing ever. It probably just popped up on the screen. Right, Future Sean? That's right.
My look of surprise.
Yep, his look of surprise. There you go.
My website's a little outdated, but you can still get a hold of me there.
Cool.
Facebook, it's just swap over from...
Facebook is Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. So follow on Instagram at Map Guitars. This was so cool. I'm gonna play some guitars and go check out some more stuff. If you guys liked this little road trip video, please let me know by giving the video a thumbs up. Give Mike a follow over on Instagram, and please come back. More videos are coming soon. Click the subscribe button, turn on the notifications by ringing the bell. And for Mike of Map Guitars from Livermore Guitar Labs, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, wishing you all out there great tone and happy stomping. Cheers, friends.